and this lady's aura lifted out of the bed. And as she sat up, she leans over to me and just said, "Thank you." And then she merged with Christ. And then they went off to the right side and they ascended. And then what I saw is these two beautiful gold doors open and these misty white arms come out and take them in and shut.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Channel Within. This morning I'm speaking with Dr. Rod Chelberg, and I am excited to hear about his NDE and his spiritual journey so far. Good morning, Dr. Chelberg, and thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you, Mira. This is a real pleasure for me as well.
Awesome. So, should we get started with your NDE? I know it happened very young, so you may not remember life before that.
Well, the short version is in second grade, I got strep throat infection, and the strep throat went into my kidneys and shut them down. And that resulted in me being hospitalized. So the treatment at that time was just shots of penicillin. So I was getting lots of medication for this. And then one night around, I guess, 8 o'clock, I got my shot and I was starting to relax and something didn't feel right. I thought, I'm having trouble breathing. My chest got tighter and tighter, and I just said, I can't breathe. Subsequently, I developed tunnel vision, and all I saw was blackness all around me. And this blackness was coming in, and I said, that's death, that I am going to die. And I was terrified, completely terrified. The next thing that happened is my body and my spiritual body dissociated, and I floated about 3 inches above. And and I thought, well, this is interesting. The darkness was still there, but then my body rotated up 90 degrees to my body, and I looked back and I saw myself, and I thought, that's interesting. But then when I looked forward, I saw nothing but blackness except for a pinpoint of white light. And I started to lose what I would call the astral body, which is a white outline of me. And I became a thought of clear consciousness. There was no more body. There was no sensation. There was no hot or cold. There was no feeling of movement. It was just, I'm coming to this light. And as I got to the light, this warmth developed in my heart. And it got warmer and safer and more secure. And the light got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I started to see inside of this light that it's actually a sphere of infinite dimensions. And I said, this is my true home. And I was feeling joy and happiness as I got closer and closer. And then obviously the nurses recognized I was in trouble. They gave me a shot to reverse this allergic reaction that I was having. So just as I got to the point of, I want to see in and I want to go in, didn't care about my body. And I was slammed back into my human body. And I just like, what was that? I'm a little kid. And I thought, that is one dream. And why are all these people here? And they said everything was fine. And I said, okay, it was just a dream. And I didn't think any more of it. Then in a few years later, um, I heard the song by the Moody Blues, Floating. And I'm not going to sing for you, but it's floating among the stars. And I thought, I wonder if I can do that. So I laid down in my bed in my bedroom and turned out all the lights. And again, I was able to dissociate by slowing my breathing down. I dissociated and became that astral body again. And I did that several times. I thought, this is such a beautiful place to be. And then I started to say, I wonder if I can move. And so I went around the room a few times. And then we lived on a farm. So I went out to the farm. And it was really fun because, there's dad walking down there. And I'm a clear thought of consciousness. And I saw him and I saw everything clearly. again, there's no feeling, there's no sensation, there's no hot, cold, you're just, you're clear consciousness. So at that point, when I was back in my human body, I realized that I had two other gifts. And now that I think about it, in retrospect, I realized that those gifts were planted in me during the astral travel. So, one gift was the ability to communicate with God through meditation. And I had no training in meditation, but in during that time of astral travel, I said, I wonder if I can sit. And I did. And I can sit and get to a point where my mind's absolutely quiet. And then I started to feel this presence of warmth and love. So that's that part. And then the third part was I started to see colors on people's hearts. I could see, green, red, and blue. And those are the three attributes of God: omniscience, omnipresence, omnipotent. So love, science, and life energies. And I could see that. So I can look at you and say, your heart's green, which is nice. It's so
It's
you're
green?
in the healing
Oh,
profession.
you mean as an example?
No,
Oh, my heart is green?
right now,
So what
yes.
does that mean? What do the colors
Div-
mean? The different
Divine
colors?
life is green. Healing, the color of medicine, is green. Blue is artistic creativity, scientific creativity. And red, omnipotent, is love, divine love. And in retrospect, again, I learned when you're with your children, your heart turns red. When you're with a client, it turns green. When you're painting, it'll turn blue. We all go through this, and it's just a gift. And I see it on occasion, not with everyone. But so going back, I had these three gifts, and I could travel. My farthest travel was to Paris, France. And I know because I saw the Eiffel Tower clearly as I'm seeing you. And then my meditations were very deep, and the colors were always present. So I asked my friends, do you see these things? They go, no. Then there must be something wrong with you. You're crazy. Well, I'm a little kid and I want to fit in. So I said, no, I shut all those gifts down. So that's my near-death experience. And then
Okay. So how old were you when you realized that you had these gifts? Still very young, right?
1969, around, because that's when the song The Moody Blues came out with.
Okay.
Yep. And then that's when I had this kind of epiphany awakening.
Okay.
There's more to this world than I'm seeing, and I don't know what it is. And I'm kind of learning as I go. So,
You said that before you started feeling the warmth, that there was that feeling of void. Did you feel any fear or
no, no, it's
okay.
just like you and I sit here talking or having a cup of coffee.
Hmm.
And then you say, I'm going to invite the divine in. Sometimes I hear a click, and it's the funniest thing, but I call it in the book that I wrote a frame shift. It's just, and suddenly I'm looking at you this way. Now I'm looking at you this way. Here's my human viewpoint. Now it's spiritual. And as I go across, it goes click. I never felt fear. Never felt fear. I feel warmth and security, peace, tremendous peace and quiet. It's so quiet. And then that feeling of love comes. But fear is an illusion because God is only love. The Catholic Old Testament version of God is he's pissed off at me for something or he loves me. So I go to church and do my confession. I'm saying, oh God, I hope you're in a good mood. I swore today. I'm so sorry. And that's not God at all. You want to go from a religious point of view of God to the true nature, the true spirituality of God, which is infinite love, infinite wisdom.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that, and I remember as a child also, because in Hinduism, I grew up as a Hindu, God could be very punitive, and I remember very young, I decided that is not going to be my definition of God.
God cannot be duality. In this world, we are duality. You're a woman, I'm a man, right? Um, God is one. That's what now is, God. And so you go above the human concepts of Hinduism and religion to an even higher plane of I am infinite love. And when you enter that sphere and meet God, it's I can't even describe it, but you suddenly you become infinity. You just expand. This human body is very limited. It's always hungry. I got to get clothes. I got to go to sleep. It always needs something. And when you get into these deep meditations and you feel this tremendous freedom and peace, it's like on the ocean, there's a wave. That's you. And you're traveling along and you, but what happens? The wave eventually hits the shore and goes bash. And then what happens? It goes back into the sea. So when you're the wave, you're looking up and seeing the blue sky and the ships and having a good time. But do you look inside yourself? Do you look into your heart and see the ocean? You are one with all of the waves.
I love
So
that analogy.
so there you go. So Hinduism is beautiful, Catholicism is beautiful. I like all of that, but I want to go higher because God is not duality. There is not an Adam and an Eve. In human world of duality there is, but not with God. You and your father, I and my father are one. Really? Just like that. We are one. And that means you have all the power of God for creation and rebuilding, and you can heal. It just takes practice and acceptance and thinking, can I really do that? And the answer is yes. So,
Yes, because the kingdom of God is within, according to the
mhm.
New Testament as well. You were able to go to Paris, you were able to travel through space. So were you able to travel and see maybe past lives and also possibly the future?
um, I really have no interest in that because I want to go home to God. And I have seen past lives that, on occasion, um, one, well, there's many, but one that stuck out.
So were
I was
these
I
during
was
meditation, Dr. Chelberg, that you saw the
yeah,
visions?
yeah, yeah. It's just a flashback. So one, I was a soldier in World War I, trench warfare. I believe I was French, and the bombs were coming in and whatnot, and I was shot in my left lower abdomen and laying in the trench, and my friends were coming to get me, and a bomb came in and landed next to us, and they all ran, and then the bomb exploded, and so in that instant, I was suddenly liberated of all that pain and suffering and trauma, and I was in that beautiful sphere of light. That's just one. We can go on for an hour about different lifetimes, but yes, I have done that. And I've been in the Akashic records. Um, and I go, well, this is interesting, but really they're diversions. And I want to go home. I now know where home is. I'm good. When I'm done, when I lay this body down, I'm going, I'm out of here.
Yes. So if that over there is home, what is Earth then to you?
It's a movie. It's a shadow. It's a creation in my mind. We started off as protein coming together. A billion years later, now here you see this man. This is a collective consciousness of Roman soldiers, Egyptians, cavemen, moving forward. It's a collective consciousness. And it's always to reinforce that we are separate from God because there's duality. We have rich and poor, you know, nasty people, good people. it's all duality, and yet God is the substance of everything. And we take that love and create with our minds, because God gave us free will. What do you want to make? I want to make a car. Henry Ford, I want to make a car. Da, 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 da. So the wheels are turning. You see, his concepts of a car are in my mind. And as a little child, I'm programmed to look at, oh, that's a car. So, but this is not real, because when you get into your true spiritual self and you say, huh, everything is God, even your thoughts are God. God is, and we stop talking. So get into that point of view. I've got cancer. Big deal. I don't believe it. I'm going to change my mind. I'm not going to be afraid of it. And I hear the doctors, but I don't listen to them. That's what you say, but what does God have to say? You're my holy child in who I am well pleased. I don't accept cancer. I'm going to let it go. It can't hurt me. As Christ said to Pontius Pilate, you have no power over me, right? You can kill this body, but you can't kill me. And I say, well, I don't care to be hung on a cross. So how about we skip that part and just heal this? And it does. It heals up. So think about your thoughts very carefully, because they're projected out. And if you're saying, I have all these problems, and you get in the calls of the drama, you talk to your friends who reinforce the drama. Man, I didn't tell anybody about cancer. I don't want their negative energy. Oh, you poor thing. Let me tell you about how awful my cancer was. Don't care. Don't want your energy. So you learn to relax and disconnect. Learn to be an observer of all of this. Just the other day, I dropped my computer with a book that I'm writing. I thought, not good. And I looked and my screen was all cracked, which kills a computer. And so I didn't get upset. I just put it down and I said, I know there's a solution. So I talked to a friend and he says, well, let's try something. We ran some wires around and I've got a monitor, and we got rid of the desktop and projected it on the monitor. I stayed calm the whole time, and God could talk to me, call Dave. Oh, press this button. Oh, use this cable. And I just, and it worked. So now I need a new computer, but I can still do my book. So you learn to disconnect and say, this could be a tragedy. I've lost a book. How do I get it back? I don't know. I'm not a computer expert. But by staying calm and disconnecting and not reacting with attack and defense, upset, you stay peaceful. God can talk to you and guide you. And so it took a few hours. And then I said, oh, call Dave. He's in North Carolina. And so, and we came up with the solutions. It's fun. It's just fun. You see? So I want to stay in peace all the time. I choose peace instead of this.
Yes. And how long did it take you to start openly sharing then? Because, first you're thinking it's a dream, then you're telling your friends, are you guys seeing this? They're like, no. So when did you start talking about it? The NDE and your gifts.
Well, I started having more experiences when I started residency, but I didn't tell anybody about any of my stories, because I was an ER doctor for a long time. If you came in and told me these stories, I'd lock you up. So I didn't say anything until I retired from medicine. Then I started, but I wrote all the stories down, and medical profession is very dogmatic. So I didn't want to get it out that I was talking to Christ or I could see Christ in the ER, but that's what was happening. And so there was a progression, actually, a growth, if you will, of these talents.
So can you walk us through that and like when the voice became the vision, when you incorporated seeing Christ to associate with that voice?
There's an actual growth process, just like human growth. You've got the embryo, the fetus, then you've got the child, the young adult, the mature adult, whatever that is. But so the growth process first starts when I was taking care. I was in my residency, and I was trained as a critical care doctor and a hospital doctor, and I had really sick patients that were on ventilators and life support and all of that, and they would die. They were so ill that they would die. And for me, I was brought up Catholic, and I always thought that it's important that I would take the patient's hand and hold it to my chest like this, and I would pray the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven. And I thought, if nobody else asked for this person's release, at least I know I have done that. That's my final act as a doctor.
What a
It-
beautiful thing to do for another human being.
mm, it's a blessing because I'm always touched first, because you can't give what you don't have. So this divine love, I didn't realize it at first, but it comes in and goes out your heart, out your arm, and into them. And you know it because you feel it, you see it. The thought of I'm dying is just gone from them. And then they die in peace, tranquility. They're just it's not so bad. Well, I kept doing this kind of at the side of many people's bedsides. I took care of a cancer unit with terminally ill patients. I took care of hospice. So that was my niche, I guess. That feeling, that presence, um, started to become more common to me. So, you come in with pneumonia, okay, I would be guided, I could feel, and I always made it a point to hold your hand. If I was listening to your chest, I would put the stethoscope on your chest and I put my other hand across your back so you're between me. And I could see this blue light between my hands with sparks of energy. And the person afterwards would just say, I don't know what it is about you, but I feel so relaxed and so comfortable. I have a trauma patient come into the ER. They're pretty banged up, they're scared. And I walk up and I will take their hand and hold it. And I always said, you don't look so bad. I thought you were in worse shape than you are, but you're not. You're we can fix this easily. And that love would come in and flow, and the person would just totally relax. And in every case, just about every case, patients were saved. And that love then would radiate into the ER, just expand out. And and normally it's a chaotic scene when somebody comes in. It would suddenly become very peaceful. Everybody calmed down. So in my later years in practicing medicine, I would always stand at the foot of the bed after I held somebody's hand, and then I would just let this peace come in and flow through me, and the whole room would get quiet. Eventually, this peace became present all the time, so I feel it all the time. So that's the first aspect. There's a second part we can maybe talk about later, but that was the first aspect. The second part, then, so I felt the presence of God, the divine, whatever you want to call it, Mother Mary, or not Mother Mary, but Mother, Father, divine love, infinite love, whatever. Those are all human concepts. But to feel it, if you have never tasted an orange, I can talk to you about, oh, it's sweet, it's delicious, you're going to like it. You have no idea what I'm talking about. But the minute you bite it, you go, oh, this is delicious. Now I know. That's how God is. It's not a whisper and wonder, was that God? It's an I know, and I'm absolutely right. So the second sense that developed was the ability to hear, and Christ would speak to me as clearly as I'm speaking to you. And the times that he did that, people were in critical condition. They were going to die. Um, and so I have lots of stories about that that I wrote and put into a book. There's a woman in the OR who went into a cardiac arrest and she was dying. And we have two code teams in the hospital that would take care of it. I'm running the ER. I'm not supposed to leave because an ambulance might come in with a code. So I just, well, big deal. And but then a few minutes, about 20 minutes later, the charge nurse came in and pulled me out of my chair, said, "Come right now, we need you." And so we ran down the hallway. That's always fun. And we ran into the OR, and there's the lady on my left. She's clearly dying. She's mottled blue. I look at the monitor. She's got a malignant heart rhythm. And the two code teams gave up on her and said, she's going to die. We've done everything according to protocol. Well, for me, I said, okay, I have to stop thinking and just distance myself. And I said, Christ, what should we do? And a great deal of trust and faith. And he said, they are treating her with the wrong medicine. She has a different illness that's giving you a false rhythm. So he said, here's the antidote, which I had, and I gave it to her. And immediately the heart rhythm went from malignant to just a really fast rhythm. So that's why the code teams, they were being misled. Then I gave her a second medicine and slowed her heart rate down. And it went into a normal sinus rhythm. And then within 15 seconds, she woke up. So she's at the very edge of death. We didn't have a lot of time. And yet, by learning to become quiet, you have to learn to become quiet so God can talk to you. Christ can talk to you. And very clearly, he'll tell you what to do. And so that was my second gift. So the first was feeling the presence. The second was the ability to listen. And then the third gift is the auras. They came back. So instead of seeing that pretty color on you, I started to see the whole person. And I started to, on occasion, Christ would allow me to see him take someone home. So my favorite story, and I call it Christ in the ER. It's an 80-year-old lady who came in by ambulance and she was in cardiac arrest. So I took over the code and we ran the code for another 20 minutes with all the flurry and activity, but she was kind of flatlined the whole time. I said, we're done. It's been 40 minutes with no heart rhythm. We're done. So I called the code. I said, everybody just leave. And after they left, I started to pray with her. Now, backing up just a little bit, several years before this, I started to take meditation very seriously and practice every day. And I also came upon this book called A Course in Miracles. And I started reading this book and starting to understand it. So 3 years later, I meet this lady, and I have this thought. I wonder if Christ will come if I ask him to take this lady home. So I changed my prayer from Our Father who art in heaven to Christ, will you come take this lady home? The whole room changed into scintillating white light with flecks of gold, and the instruments were darker white. The air was very thin, and this red aura, this bead, came in on my right side. Excuse me, on my left side, and this lady's aura lifted out of the bed. And as she sat up, she leans over to me and just said, "Thank you." And then she merged with Christ. And then they went off to the right side and they ascended. And then what I saw is these two beautiful gold doors open and these misty white arms come out and take them in and shut. And I tried to look in. I really did. Um, wasn't meant to be. And I went home that night and And I said, I just witnessed somebody's birth into heaven, and my job was to help facilitate that. I didn't do it. I'm going to make that real clear. Christ allowed me to see it. And this is what happens. This scenario has happened 4 times to me where I get to see this, and it's stunning. So that's so then you get vision. And so those are the three gifts. It's just like human development. You feel the presence, then you hear, and then you see, and then it's all combined. So now a man, or excuse me, a better story. A woman comes in and they're saying she's having a severe panic attack. I said, okay. So I sit her down and she's just all over. She can't even talk. And I said, okay, this seems like a little more than a panic attack. So I asked her to lay down. And immediately she sat upright and put her arms forward. And Christ then came to me and said, she has metastatic breast cancer. She has a pericardial effusion, and the water around her heart, it's in a balloon, is crushing her heart. And when she lays down, you've just crushed her heart. So immediately she sits up, and in that instant, I could see inside her body, and I saw the pericardial effusion. I'm hearing Christ telling me what to do. So now all of the senses are combined. The vision, the hearing, the feeling, they're all combined. And that's the adult, the spiritual adult, if you will. And it was fortunate. I was getting ready to well, you have to put a needle into the heart fluid and get it out. But a cardiac resident was walking by and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I've got this lady with this huge fluid on her heart." Well, he took over because he wanted to do it, needed the practice. I said, "That's fine because I got plenty of other people to see." But he took over over a quart of water off her heart. And I talked to her afterwards. I said, "Do you have breast cancer?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Well, it's gone into this sac." And that's what was wrong. So she had an operation later on, several days later, where they take that out. Her symptoms were gone. So it's a growth process of starting with feeling the presence of God and letting that radiate out. Then you start to hear, and then you start to see, and then it's all integrated. At least that was my process. You can have, if I can go off on a tangent, with meditation, you can do all of this. And that's what the Buddhists and Tibetan monks practice, is to get to that state. So that's the Reader's Digest version.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you have meditation tips or tips on how we can connect to the divine without entering the NDE sphere, Dr. Chelberg?
I was never trained, and there's all these methods. Basically, you want to quiet your mind, and I do that. I sit in a chair and I put a pillow behind my back so my back is straight. That's really important. I like to do 3 clearing breaths. So I breathe in for a count of 1, I exhale for a count of 2. So 3, because that opens your lungs up, and you got to get your belly moving like a bellows. So I breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. I exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do that 3 times. The mantra I use is peace. I just say peace because you're going to start off with a lot of monkey chatter. A flat tire. I got to get groceries. I got to clean the house. All this stuff. And it's just, you want to quiet your mind down. And by slowing your breathing down, deliberately starting to slow your breathing down and relaxing. So I like Hugh Prather. He wrote, "I breathe in peace, I exhale my release." During the first part of my meditation, get the arms, get the kinks out, get relaxed, and just have no expectations. and just slow your breathing down. I generally tell people start with a minute or 5 minutes because otherwise, if you say these people who have been meditating for a long time, I can do 2 hours easily. It's just like a wow, that went quick. You can't do that to start off. You'll get very frustrated and discouraged. But if I say, well, can you do it for a minute? Can you just sit there and say to yourself, I'm thinking peace with all these thoughts, and Father, hold me. Just hold me. I invite you in. Hold me. Let me feel you. Talk to me, And nothing will happen because you have so much human resistance to this and to your belief that you are a body and that you're not a spiritual being. It's baby steps. So you just say, okay, I'll do a minute, and then I'll do 2 minutes, and then I'll do three. It took me several years to get to that point, 2 years to get to that point. But if you remember from the near-death experience, I already was able to tune in at a very young age. So now it's honing and polishing. So I like my meditations now are half hour. I slow my breathing down with those three clearing breaths. And then I just slow my breathing down and I see this beautiful light coming in the top of my head and washing my body clean. I breathe in peace. I exhale my release. And on the release part, that all my negative thoughts go down my fingertips into the earth and are washed clean and then get returned to me as love. Then in my lower body, again, all the blackness goes out my feet into the earth and gets washed clean and returned to me as love. So that's my cycle. It's just this flow of energy. And it's from head to heart to your lower abdomen. And you get quieter and quieter. Your breathing gets so quiet with practice. Um, that's my method. So for half an hour, I meditate. So I slow down. I do what I call spiritual affirmations. I am love. I am peace. I am divine consciousness. They always start off with I am because as God said to Moses, I am that I am. So I start off, I am peace. I am love. I am joy. Then I slowly transition to Father, hold me. Father, be with me. Let me feel your presence. So that's the first 15 minutes. And then the second part is I just stop thinking because I can do that. Just totally stop thinking and just absorb and feel that presence of those misty arms holding you in this beautiful love. It's just, oh, it's wonderful. So that's part of the meditation. What's important, if you want to get on this mystical journey, you have to unlearn this world. So I read A Course in Miracles. There's a lot of spiritual books by Eckhart Tolle, J.M., who wrote Way of Mastery. There's A Course in Love by Mary Perron and Sebastian Blakely, A Course in Love. Joel Goldsmith, The Infinite Way. You want to pick something and read and start to say, there's more to this life than what I see. All of your human senses are designed to show you separation, aren't they? And underneath all of that is our fundamental belief that we're separate from God. And the Catholic Bible says we fell from the Garden of Eden. We sinned. We were born with original sin. That's nonsense. When you remember, I am a thought of love in the mind of God. Just think about that for a second. What's your first thought? You're crazy. I am God consciousness. I am Christ consciousness. That's who you are. That's your beautiful light. And you just put a lampshade of this body and a life on top of your light. Well, what if right now you can start peeling those off? So suddenly you go back to light and look at this world and go, it's just a movie. And by changing my thoughts, I can edit the movie and change it. So I had 3 cancers, and people are like, yeah, that's it. But I said, no, I don't accept that. And I allow the light to come in and wash the cancer out of my body. So I had the operation, take the cancer out. I'm practical, but I was cancer free. They said, how did you do that? No chemo, no radiation. I said, I'm good. Thank you. Because the divine said you are cured. So you can do that. That's where you want to get to with all of this. So, and there's other stories, but you get the basic idea that you want to start to learn to walk between two worlds, one of spirituality and one of humanity. And as you go down this mystical pathway that I call it, um, you start to walk more and more into spirit, and you get more and more guidance. So the other day, Father, where's my wallet? And I got quiet. Oh, it's upstairs in your pants. You didn't take them out of your work pants. Thank you. Where are my keys? Oh, they fell in the between the car seat and the console. Very quiet. Don't go down this road. Get off. Okay, it's like a GPS on your cell phone. So you start to live in tune and in harmony. So the third part, so we talked that first you want to read something. The second part is you want to meditate. And then the third part is all day long, remember who you are. You are a divine child of God. You're not a man, you're not a woman. You're an offspring. You're a being of light, a sunlight. So you have to remind yourself frequently throughout the day because the ego is always coming after you with, I hurt my foot. Ooh, I got $1,000 bill. It's always pulling you into the movie. And you want to say, no, I don't want to do that. So the very best short meditations that I do throughout the day, I have two of them, is the first one is I choose peace instead of this. Oh, I just got $1,000 bill. My ego screams, how am I going to pay for that? And I say, I choose peace instead of this. You see, so I'm coming back. So the metronome, you know what a metronome goes tick tock, good, bad, right, wrong. And we swing political, patriots win, patriots lose. Oh, you want to stay centered right there in Christ consciousness. And this moment is called now. It's not past, it's not future, it's right now. So right now I'm connected to you and I can feel your heart because I can see it. And and I'm also channeling love to you that I hope you're starting to
I
feel that.
am. I feel it.
Yeah. But it's a nice
Yes.
way. So we're
Yes.
talking, but I'm also opening my heart and radiating. I'm in Bangor, Maine, you're in Florida. How is that possible? Well, with spirit, all things are possible. So the second part, so the first is I choose peace instead of this. My second is I and my Father are one. And I will stop. Nobody's looking. I put my hand on my heart. I and my Father are one. But I'm always thinking thoughts like this. I am a divine being. I am um, a transparency for God to talk to people. And you learn to get your ego out of the way. Now, I like my ego. He's very good at driving and balancing the checkbook and building houses. But when it comes to you should be doing this and oh, that person's a jerk and I'm going to condemn him. No, ego get in the back seat and I bring in Christ because when you start judging and having grievances, good or bad, you are disconnecting from God. So some people will come up and say, I pray to God, I ask him to cure me of this disease, and it doesn't work. I said, well, the truth is God's giving you 100% love all day long, right? You need to get quiet and say yes. Say yes to that. But when you ask God for something, you're pushing him away because you're saying, oh, you're not giving me everything. I need this, God. In fact, I know better than you what I need. And God just smiles and shakes his head, Rod, 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 Rod. Just relax. Just relax. So you learn to trust and relax. And these magical holy instances will come to you in your life. Are you willing? Are you receptive? Surrender your will and say, you know what? I'm going to read a little bit. So I read for an hour in the morning, half hour meditation, and then affirmations all day long. I and my Father are one. I am as God created me. Oh, this guy just cut me off on the freeway. Instead of getting mad, I send you a blessing of love and peace. I send this world a blessing of love and peace. All this insanity going on. I just get quiet and just say, I'm going to hold you in divine light and peace. You have the power to do that because you tap into the divine. It's not you. You're just the conduit because God says, I need translators. I need you to speak because I don't speak human. I speak love. I don't know what a car is. I do. Well, help me. What is a car? Well, it's your energy transmuted into something we call a car. So anyway, but you're going to get to the point where God will ask you, will you help me heal the sonship? And you feel so much love, you just go, absolutely. But that's how you start. So you read something, you meditate, and you practice. Don't compare yourself to other people. They're on their own path. It's
Yeah.
so that's how you do it.
Thanks for those beautiful tips, Dr. Chelberg. I really like what you said about God. I don't speak human, I speak love. That is so profound. And everything that you included as well. Um,
So
so if we are in this dream world and we're stage actors also, different analogies, what is the point of life, Dr. Chelberg?
in this world, the whole sonship, God created the sonship. And the sonship had this thought, I I would like to try to co-create without God. That was what I call the Big Bang in the universe. They said, well, that's when life started. No, that's when we separated from God with that belief that God's out there and I'm over here. So now I have to co-create with somebody. So we create this thing called an ego. And you've got your ego, I've got mine. So all of us went bang and separated. That created duality. So the point of your life is to remember, who are you? Are you this woman or are you God consciousness? You see, and I want to wake up and remember who I am. And I can do that at the point of death or I can do it right now. So, what do you want to do?
Why
Do you want
wait?
a happy life? Do you want to be taken care of? Oh, yeah, that works for me. And you say, my point is to remember I and my Father are one. And I'm slowly getting closer and closer to that. And I've had that experience, which was beautiful. You're going to have that experience because you set that as your intention. This world could burn. It's okay. You see, because, and my body will burn. It's okay because it's not me. It's an image I created in my mind, and the whole sonship will come back together. And we will call what's called the atonement is we are reunited with our Father as one. You know, the yin yang symbol of black and white. Well, it now becomes that whole circle again, and it all becomes light gray. There is no black and white, there's total integration. So, some people, I had a man I was taking care of, and he had really end of his life. He was a very angry, bitter man. And I offered him medicines, and he just kept saying no, no, no. And I stood at the foot of his bed, and I watched him die. And then I went into this astral realm, and Christ. I invited Christ in, and this man sat there with his arms. No, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And he just went disappeared. And Christ said, "Don't worry, Rod. I'll take care of him." Everybody has free choice and free will. And so we're all on a timeline. We're all going to wake up and go home. My analogy is, let's say you want to go to San Francisco. How are you going to do it? Me, I'd get on a jet and fly. But you can take a car, you can walk, you can take a bicycle, you can get a ship and go around South America. There's a lot of ways to get there. We all have our paths. You see, me, I want the straight shot, but we get going and say, my career is more important. Oh, I want to learn about this, or I want to learn about that. I gave a lecture in Boston to a huge group of people. And afterwards, I told them pretty much what I'm telling you, how to go home. Then afterwards, they wanted to know about quantum physics because I talked about, they want to know about the Akashic records. I said, what is wrong with you people? Who cares? These are all distractions and illusions. You want to go to Disney on your way to LA? That's fine. Stop at Disney and have some fun. It's a distraction. But me, I want to go home right now. So my wife Jody says, will you wait just a little bit? So I said, yes, dear.
I
But
really
that's
love
the point of
that.
our lives. We are
Yeah.
all waking up. How are you going to do it? So if you read, meditate, and practice, you're going to accelerate that healing process. And it is a healing process. That's what you want.
Dr. Chelberg, for anyone listening who's at the edge of death or taking care of someone at the edge of death, what advice would you give them?
Um, I always say relax. If there's anything that needs to be forgiven, it's very important to forgive. I've had families squabble over money. That's a big one. You gave him more money than you gave me, and I got mad and I'm angry at you. This is your chance to let it all go. So many times I invite Christ in and say, help this person to understand it's not money. It's nothing. But once that person's gone, it's really hard. You can communicate with them, but it's a lot harder. So forgiveness, letting go of past hurts, judgments, and grievances. You want the person that's going to die or is dying to die in peace with a quiet mind. They've got a blank slate. Because for me, when somebody dies, it's a transition point. You get to choose. Do you want to go back and recycle and do it again? Or do you want to go home?
Do we have that choice?
So here's my analogy. It's Saturday morning. You don't have to work, but you forgot to set the alarm, turn it off, right? I got to get up at 6. I got to get to work. Saturday morning, you wake up and the alarm's going, and you go, oh, you hit the alarm, and there's a snooze button. 5 more minutes, just 5 more minutes. Ding, ding. You keep doing that. That's a lifetime because you're more comfortable laying in bed dreaming. You
Mm.
see, but at some point, oh, what's that smell? That's coffee. Oh, that smells good. You know what? I think I'm done hitting the snooze button. I'm going to wake up. And I walk downstairs, and there's God saying, good morning. Can I pour you a cup of coffee? So it's your choice. I like to play a little bit, but it's your choice. Stop searching, relax, and allow I am God. I am God consciousness, not the human body, not the mirror. No, that you're not God. Give me a break. I'll lock you up. But when you're in your spiritual mind, deep in your consciousness, yes, you are God.
Thank
That's
you.
that's a big one.
Yes, it
So
is.
your your point of death is just to relax and say, Father, I'm here. I'm ready to go home. Straight up, no more hitting the alarm button. We're done with that. I'm good. I'm out of here. So I've had my fun. I've had my lifetimes. I've had many lifetimes. And I finally found that through meditation, I'm done. I'm going home. That's my intention. And and Jody's coming with me. She's been a soulmate of mine through many lifetimes. So it's beautiful. So so she said, okay. So she said, just don't go just quite yet. So
Dr. Chelberg, what feels most important to share that we haven't discussed already?
surrender. Stop trying. Just surrender. Just say, I'm going to open myself up. I'm going to surrender my thinking mind and listen to God. How simple is that? Let go, relax, listen, be at peace. And just say, okay, what does God have to say? I can help you. I can create with you. I want to co-create. So surrender encapsulates everything. This has been a nice story, and there's road marks. Go here, here, here. But ultimately, I'm going to surrender and listen, and then go from there.
You did talk about unconditional love. What did Christ look like?
What does Christ look like?
Yeah, to you. And I know
Well, it
it's something
depends
that
on the circumstance. Some in this world, with my human sight, he's red, and that's in the book. A picture of what I see. In the astral plane, he's white, kind of and they're like a bead. In the spiritual plane, it's clear consciousness. It, it's air. There's nothing, and it's everything. So it depends on where we were talking. At least for me, I don't know about other people, but that's my dream and my story, you see.
what's the difference between the spiritual world and the astral world?
Well, that's my own uh, makeup. The spiritual world is when you're inside that sphere of light and you don't see anything. In the astral plane, I will see. Um, Sometimes I channel people, not very often, but I see them in their human form. Like I see you, but you're all white. You're monochromatic. You see me, I'm monochromatic, and we talk. That's the astral plane. Everything there is monochromatic. And then the human plane, there's all these colors. So, and what they are actually is different frequencies of vibration. So, this is a very coarse vibration down here on Earth. It's like a 25-watt light bulb, like a refrigerator light. The astral plane is like a 50-watt light bulb, a little brighter, but not quite. And the spiritual plane is a 100-watt light bulb. I mean, wow. And it's a very fast vibration. It takes some getting used to, but eventually it's just everything's light and it's clear. And I it's the best I can do.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I have three questions I ask everyone. What brings you joy and laughter these days?
Allowing God to flow through me. And sometimes God wants to build furniture. Sometimes he wants to drive the Corvette. Sometimes he wants to take a walk with Jody. There's a lot of things, but you feel this love going through you and out. And the thing of it is, I don't expect anything in return. So a friend's in trouble, I give him thousands of dollars. I don't expect it back. It's God's love. It just flows. You see, so I would give you something and you could burn it. I'd say that's your choice, you know, or you can thank me for it. That's your choice. But it's just my love flowing to you. So I expect nothing back. So that's what brings me joy. What was the second question?
So the second question is, what would you tell young Rod who is about to embark on this wonderful journey of life?
Oh, to relax, that everything's going to be okay, that you're going to be taken care of. I grew up in a family, like many people in America, very stoic. Don't show emotion, suck it up. Men don't cry. And and so you, in essence, you learn to raise yourself and cry in the dark so nobody sees you. And it's just like let that all go. You're fine. And bring in that light. As I said earlier, when my friends thought I was crazy, I shut it all off. Don't do that. Let it spring forth. Let the creativity, the love, and all of that just come forth. So that's what I have taken that little boy in my arms when a fearful memory comes up and tell them, I'm the adult now and everything's fine. I got this. You don't have to worry. You are not alone. I guess that's the biggest point. I am not alone.
I love that. And what final message or blessing do you have for those listening?
Oh, I like to just hold all of you. I can see, just feel the love that's coming to you. Feel the grace and the kindness, the gentleness and the peace. I am here for you, my holy children. I am here. Just relax and be at peace. You are not alone. Always remember, we are one. We are one in life eternal. We are one in peace eternal. You are never alone. Come home. Amen.
Amen. Was that a channeled message, Dr. Chelberg?
Yeah,
It was.
yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
You're
And I
welcome.
hope that everyone listening enjoyed this remarkable conversation as much as I did. And may
Thank
you
you.
continue to inspire everyone. Do you want to talk about your book, your new book, before we go?
If you sure.
Yeah.
It's basically what I talked about, but in more detail about the near-death experience. There's a lot of all the stages I went through. There's in depth about my astral travel through the galaxy. What was it like to meet God and be held by God? I did the best I could to explain that. And
The
then
ineffable,
afterward,
right?
what's that?
I said to explain the ineffable.
It can't be done. I
Yeah.
can't explain the taste of an orange to you. You have to taste it. But I did the best I could. And then afterwards, it's the extending where God asked me to help heal the sonship. So there's more stories about um, after the medical career, you're still working and healing. And so there's many stories there. And then the last part talks about I had a financial crisis, relationship, cancers, a stroke. And I talk about how God healed me in all of those situations. And then I end the book with my prescription for you, which is sort of what we hinted at. But there's steps you want to go through to practice. You need a template to say, okay, I need a reference. So I wrote it all down and put that at the back of the book and then ended it with a blessing. So, and I put in, I'm going to see if this will work, but I put in 5 photographs of stuff you won't believe that that I things that I've captured on my camera. So spiritual things. So it's fun. It's about 250 pages, but it's a page turner.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Schalberg.
You're
Made
welcome. This has
more
been
my
fun.
morning, and thank you for the uplifting feeling that and the feeling of love and expansion that you've left me with. And I'm sure everyone listening to this will be able to feel that as well.
Yeah. So if I can throw in a little commercial,
Yes, please.
my wife Jody is a professional singer and she's written and performed 2 spiritual albums. And it's Jody Ebling, Ebling. And you can download those on Pandora and Spotify. It's
Okay.
beautiful music.
I will check it
Yep.
out myself, and
Yep.
it's on the podcast as well.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and thank you so much for
All
speaking with
all
me
right.
and for helping heal the world, Dr.
Okay.
Chalberg.
Thank you.